Have you ever woken up to a bright, mysterious light, only to find yourself trapped in a totally different world? Our story begins when a summoning spell goes wrong. Takumi, an average salaryman from Earth, ends up in a glowing white space. There, he meets Lady Nolan, a graceful yet slightly panicked goddess. She explained that he has been summoned to a new world called Milgard using a summoning spell. But she immediately apologizes, revealing that Takumi's summoning was a mistake. The spell was supposed to summon someone else. She explains that a forbidden spell was activated in the Holy Sidonia Empire to bring mighty warriors from other worlds. But the spell made a mistake and scooped up Takumi. This mismatch could have caused severe damage to Milgard itself, which is why the spell had been forbidden in the first place. Lady Nolan adds that she attempted to intervene when the spell activated but was too late. While the actual targets of the spell arrived in the Holy Sidonia Empire, Takumi demands to be sent back to his original world, but Lady Nolan regretfully informs him that this is no longer possible. His body has already been altered to exist in Milgard. Now, he only exists in the form of soul and she can't send him back to Earth. Instead, Lady Nolan offers to help him start over in Milgard, providing her blessing as a form of support. While Takumi is hesitant, Lady Nolan tries to excite him by comparing the situation to games, novels, and anime he might be familiar with. She encourages him to explore the idea of having a fresh start in a fantasy world. Lady Nolan explains to Takumi the various job roles in Milgard, ranging from combat-oriented professions and production-based roles such as blacksmith, alchemist, herbalist, and carpenter. She emphasizes that jobs grow and evolve with skill use, allowing individuals to specialize further. Takumi, uncomfortable with confrontation, leans toward choosing a production job despite Lady Nolan teasing him for his boring choice. To support his decision, she grants him a special crafting spell, equipping him for success in his new path. Before he can fully process this, Nolan sends the spell directly into him, leaving him startled but ready to start his life in Milgard as a craftsman rather than a warrior. Upon arriving Milgard, Takumi starts testing his newfound abilities. He experiments with magic, casting spells like Water Ball, Wind Cutter, and Rock Ball. Each spell works exactly as described, confirming that magic is real in this world. He discovers high-quality wood called Trentwood, which can be used for crafting magical staves and spear shafts. While exploring the dense forest for resources, a massive horned rabbit is attacking a young girl. Using his new skills and a sprinkle of bravery, Takumi takes down the creature. Victory! Molly is amazed and thanks him profusely. She explains that she had wandered too far while gathering herbs and got lost. Relieved to be safe, Molly suggests taking the rabbit's carcass back to her village, explaining its meat is a rare delicacy. Takumi agrees, using his item box skill to store the rabbit, impressing Molly with his magical abilities. Molly leads Takumi to her home, a quaint place called Board Village. While Takumi adjusts to life in Milgard, the summoned heroes arrive in the Holy Sidonia Empire. In a grand hall, Elizabeth, the first empress, welcomes them, claiming they were summoned to save the world from impending doom. Her vague explanations leave the group uneasy, especially after Akane demands answers. Despite Elizabeth's calm reassurances, the heroes sense something isn't right, setting the stage for a perilous journey filled with doubt and danger. Meanwhile, Takumi reaches the village with Molly, where her parents express their gratitude for saving her. Takumi asks if he can stay in the village for a while, and they gladly accept him. Molly's parents introduce Takumi to the local blacksmith, who tells him about the village's surroundings. The forests are rich with medicinal herbs, and there's also a natural mine nearby, making the village an excellent spot for craftsmen. Takumi is excited to hear this. However, Molly's parents mention that there is no inn in the village for him to stay in. The blacksmith insists they can build him a house quickly. The villagers gather and take Takumi to a vacant lot. Using his earth magic, he flattens the ground, which consumes most of his mana and gives him a migraine. The villagers are amazed by his magical abilities, as magic users are quite rare. They work together to build him a house, and Takumi, despite his exhaustion, uses his carpentry and blacksmithing skills to create furniture for himself. Once his house is complete, Takumi fiddles with his status window and changes his job from a warrior to an alchemist. With his new role as an alchemist, Takumi focuses on the ores. He has copper, iron, and silver ores, along with magic iron ore that can store mana. Takumi begins removing impurities from the ores using magic. He doesn't need a furnace or traditional tools. His magic does the work of refining the metals. However, this process consumes a significant amount of mana. Takumi's excitement keeps him going, but he eventually overuses his mana and collapses from exhaustion. Molly comes to check on him and finds him passed out on the floor. She calls her parents, who scold Takumi for overexerting himself. They give him a mana-restoring potion. The next day, Molly and her mother keep a close eye on him to ensure he doesn't overdo it again. Despite this, Takumi manages to refine more metals over the following days, creating utensils and other tools for himself. His alchemy skills level up, and in his free time, he helps the village blacksmith craft high-quality weapons using magic, which also levels up his blacksmith job class. Takumi approaches Molly's father and asks to borrow some potions so he can try replicating their recipes. Molly's father allows him to take some basic potions and encourages Takumi to sell the potions he creates back to him later. Takumi begins experimenting with potion crafting, combining various ingredients to create unique concoctions. As he works on his magic blue creations, Takumi notices a difference in the potion colors compared to the originals and realizes the mana in the water he conjures is affecting the results. Determined to improve his skills, he decides to gain poison resistance by eating small amounts of poisonous plants and purifying the toxins in his body using magic. This method is risky, leaving him temporarily incapacitated as he recovers from particularly dangerous plants, but it successfully raises his purification magic level. While foraging in the forest, Takumi is suddenly attacked by a giant armored boar. The creature's massive size and strength overwhelm him, and his spear shatters on impact. Dodging its attacks, Takumi tries using magic, but his spells barely leave a scratch on the boar. As he retreats, Takumi spots an injured poisonous spider nearby. Initially, he fears he might have to fight both creatures, but the spider surprises him by leaping onto the boar's face, distracting it. The boar slamming into trees to shake off the spider. Seeing an opportunity, Takumi comes up with a risky plan. As the boar charges at him again, Takumi leaps toward it and uses his alchemy skill to decompose the boar's brain, killing it instantly. Exhausted, he approaches the injured spider and heals its wounds as a gesture of thanks. To his surprise, his system informs him that he has tamed the spider. At first, Takumi is shocked and unsure about keeping a poisonous spider as a pet, but the creature looks at him with pleading eyes. Reluctantly, he accepts it and names the spider Maple, inspired by the design on its back. The name triggers an evolution, and Maple gains the ability to speak. When Takumi returns to the village with Maple, the villagers are terrified. They are even more shocked to learn that Takumi has tamed an insect, as insects are notoriously difficult to tame. Takumi reassures them that Maple is harmless and shifts their focus to the giant boar he brought back. The villagers are amazed by his feat and throw a celebration that night to enjoy the boar's meat. During the feast, Molly's dad hands Takumi valuable materials from the boar, encouraging him to head to the city to sell them for a great profit, noting that someone as talented as him shouldn't remain confined to a small village. Meanwhile, Lady Nolan watches Takumi's growth from above, feeling proud of his progress. Just then, another goddess appears and questions Nolan about Takumi's significance, pointing out that she not only gave him special powers and a new body but also sent him into the world a year before the Sidonia Empire's summoning spell. Few days later, Takumi waking up to find himself wrapped in sticky, silky threads of spider silk. Maple is clearly the culprit. Takumi has been so busy with his projects lately. Realizing his neglecting Maple, Takumi softens and decides to take a break from his work to spend time with her. Maple's excitement is evident as she leaps at the chance to play together. Martha enters, carrying a plate of food for Takumi. She pauses in surprise at the sight of Takumi tangled in webs. Takumi hurriedly explains that Maple wasn't trying to harm him. Martha's attention shifts to the webbing. She informs Takumi that spider silk is a rare and luxurious material, only nobles can afford it. Takumi experiments with Maple's ability to produce different types of silk. Although initially confused, Maple eventually manages to create elastic silk under Takumi's guidance. Maple becomes an instant celebrity among the village women. She enjoys the attention and tells Takumi that she can't play with him today because she is busy. Takumi resolves to use this time to complete other projects before his impending departure from the village. Takumi had just received his new light leather armor from the village blacksmith when Molly's father approached him unexpectedly. With a serious tone, he asked Takumi when he planned to leave the village. Takumi hadn't even announced his departure yet, but it seemed the villagers already knew he was destined for greater things in the city. They informed him that a merchant from a neighboring city was visiting soon, and they had secured Takumi a spot on his carriage. Overwhelmed by their support, Takumi expressed his heartfelt gratitude to them. Later at home, Takumi encountered Molly's mother about to discard the innards of horned rabbits her husband had hunted that morning. She lamented that although these were the tastiest parts, the village lacked the means to clean and process them properly. Takumi decided to use his rare holy element magic to purify the meat. She advised him to keep this magical ability a secret to avoid drawing dangerous attention. Fueled by a desire to give back to the village that had raised him, Takumi dedicated the next week. He constructed a protective stone wall and installed several hand pumps to ensure a steady water supply. When the merchant finally arrived, the village was better fortified and more self-sufficient, thanks to Takumi's efforts. Panga introduces him to Paypek, a trader who will escort him to Bolton. Before departing, Takumi ensures the villagers have enough potions and supplies. During conversation, Paypek notices a healing potion in Takumi's possession and requests to inspect it. Intrigued by its clarity and effectiveness, Paypek secretly marvels at its exceptional quality and considers the profit potential. Meanwhile, Martha presents him with a specially crafted outfit made from maple silk. Touched by their generosity, Takumi expresses his heartfelt gratitude, drawing cheers from the villagers who liken him to a superhero. Takumi waves goodbye, vowing to return someday. Although Maple sleeps through the farewell, the journey to Bolton introduces Takumi to Lion Fong, a rank C adventuring party hired as bodyguards. The group's lively banter keeps the mood light, but the journey takes an unexpected turn when they encounter goblins. Lion Fong swiftly deals with the threat, showcasing their combat prowess while Takumi observes from the safety of the carriage. Takumi marvels at their efficiency, realizing the importance of skilled allies in dangerous territories. The rest of the journey passes without incident, and after 3 days, the group reaches the bustling city of Bolton. Takumi is struck by the lively streets filled with merchants hawking their wares. Takumi quickly notices a foul odor in the air, which Paypek explains comes from the lack of proper sewage treatment in the common areas. Nobles use magical purification devices, leaving the rest of the city to deal with untreated waste. Takumi's first destination in Bolton is the Adventurers Guild. He registers himself and Maple, officially joining the guild. The receptionist, Hans, explains the process and emphasizes the importance of completing at least one quest a month to maintain active membership. Takumi agrees. Scene transitions to Paypek's office, where we find Paypek discussing the price of the potion with Takumi. Paypek offers Takumi 10 silver coins for each healing and stamina potion, and 50 for mana potions. Takumi is surprised by the high value, equivalent to millions of yen. Paypek admits the offer is slightly below market due to Takumi's unknown status. Takumi agrees, seeing a potential successful partnership. Paypek suggests Takumi get a home with a workshop to enhance his production. Paypek's servant shows Takumi a spacious mansion with a storehouse, ideal for crafting. Despite its grandeur, it rents for only 1 gold and 50 silver coins monthly. Convinced of its value, Takumi decides to establish his new base of operations there. Eager to prove his worth, Takumi tackles Bolton's sanitation issues with using his earth, water, and light magic by creating a prototype toilet featuring a purification system that efficiently breaks down waste and reuses water. Impressed, Paypek sees its potential and orders 100 units to enhance city living. Takumi agrees. After the deal is done, Paypek advises Takumi that he needs extra hands and suggests taking in a slave instead of hiring workers. Takumi is taken aback by this, but Paypek explains that possessing holy magic makes him a target. The church scoops up such magic users to exploit their abilities for profit. Keeping Takumi's powers hidden is crucial. Although Takumi understands the danger, he is reluctant to hire a slave, as he wants to maintain his ethical standards. However, Paypek convinces him that it's a practical solution, and reluctantly, Takumi agrees to visit a reputable slave trader. While Paypek handles the arrangements inside, Takumi decides to explore the serene garden nearby. As he wanders, he locks eyes with a striking elf girl. Her cold demeanor surprises him when she abruptly tells him to go home. Confused, Takumi tries to understand, but she insists that this place is no environment for someone so innocent, urging him to return to safer grounds.
Inside, the owner of the trading company, Mullen, introduces herself to Takumi. Peepak explains that Takumi is hesitant about forming a slave contract, which Mullen understands. She explains that in the kingdom of Barkula, things are different. Here, slave rights are protected, and the rules are clear. Owners must provide food, clothing, and shelter to their slaves, and both parties are forbidden from causing harm to one another. Additional actions not outlined in the contract are also prohibited. Slaves, on the other hand, cannot share information about their owners with others. This system is a stark contrast to what Takumi expected. Mullen further explains that there are various types of contracts. Those who become slaves to repay debts, criminals who choose slavery as a form of reform, and prisoners of war who can earn a place to live through a contract. There are also unfortunate cases where people are forced into slavery by bandits, which is illegal. Peepak suggests that Takumi might prefer a war slave, as their terms include that they cannot be freed without their master's permission. Mullen is curious about Takumi's reasons, and Peepak shares that Takumi is a skilled and talented producer who needs to focus on his work. Takumi is also required to complete quests for the Adventurers Guild and is struggling to manage his daily affairs. Takumi explains that he needs someone to manage his mansion and handle all the housework, as he has many confidential skills and often needs to venture into dangerous areas to gather materials. He would benefit from having someone who can also protect and accompany him on his travels. Mullen understands his needs and decides that Takumi will require 2 slaves. She introduces a girl named Maria, who was kidnapped by bandits as a young child and has no family left. Maria has been trained in reading, writing, and general housekeeping. Takumi describes his mansion, and Maria confidently states she can manage the household by herself. Takumi notices something in Maria's demeanor that makes her question why she is still available. Flustered by the compliment, she clarifies that she can only perform general housekeeping duties. Takumi assures her that's exactly what he needs, and Maria double-checks to confirm that there are no other expectations beyond her role. Satisfied with Takumi's answers, Maria agrees to form a contract with him. Takumi still needed a battle slave for protection and assistance on his quests. Mullen, the owner of the company, hesitated to recommend anyone. However, Maria interrupted, mentioning Sophia, a battle slave she knew was still at the company. Mullen didn't appreciate being contradicted and sent Maria back to her room to pack. Curious about Maria's claim, Takumi asked Mullen if it was true. Mullen admitted that Sophia was indeed there, but quickly added that she didn't think Sophia would be suitable for Takumi due to her various issues. Despite Mullen's reluctance, Takumi insisted on meeting Sophia to see for himself. When Takumi and Mullen reached Sophia's room, Sophia was surprised to recognize Takumi as the boy from the garden earlier. Mullen then shared Sophia's background. She was captured more than 50 years ago during a conflict between the Kingdom of Triera and the Kingdom of Yugur, an elf nation. Elves, explained Mullen, naturally live long lives, which is why Sophia looked so youthful despite her age. Mullen also revealed Sophia's physical challenges. She had a noticeable scar on her ears, and her right hand and left leg were impaired, which hindered her mobility. Additionally, Sophia had lost her ability to use elemental magic, a trait elves are known for, likely due to a curse. Given these conditions, Mullen doubted Sophia's suitability as a battle slave. Still, Takumi wanted to assess the situation himself. He asked for a moment alone with Sophia. Once they were alone, he gently took her face in his hands and looked in her eyes, checking her status without her explicit permission, a method he wasn't fond of but felt necessary. To his surprise, Sophia's attributes were exceptional. Despite her physical limitations and the curse, her underlying potential was outstanding. Convinced of her capabilities, Takumi decided he wanted to help Sophia overcome her challenges. He believed that if the curse could be lifted, she would be an invaluable ally. When Mullen returned, Takumi informed her of his decision to take Sophia under his care. Sophia was hesitant, reminding him of all her flaws, but Takumi reassured her that he was determined to address these issues. Mullen, intrigued by Takumi's confidence and resolve, agreed to finalize the arrangements. Soon after, Mullen prepared the contracts. She used magic to formally bind Takumi, Maria, and Sophia to the agreed terms. With the contracts executed, Maria and Sophia officially became Takumi's slaves. Both expressed their gratitude to Takumi. Maria promised to diligently handle the household tasks, and Sophia vowed to strive to meet his expectations as well. Thus, with determination and new responsibilities, Takumi set out to ensure that both Maria and Sophia could lead better lives while aiding him in his quests and daily affairs. Takumi brought Maria and Sophia to his home, where they were greeted by an unexpected sight: a spider named Maple, which Takumi revealed was his pet. The girls were initially shocked, having never heard of someone keeping a deadly spider as a pet. Their surprise grew when Takumi showed them that they would each have their own room and shared access to a large bath. He explained that a magical device kept the water perpetually clean, so it didn't matter who bathed first. When both the girls were taking bath, Maria expressed her surprise that Mullen had agreed to release Sophia. Normally, Mullen had declined all offers for Sophia, wanting to keep her, but she had made an exception for Takumi. Maria was thrilled for both herself and Sophia, though Sophia harbored concerns. She had noticed that many details, like Takumi's birthplace and lineage, were missing from the contract, hinting that he might be hiding his true identity, which made her uneasy. Later that day, Maria was upset to find Takumi cooking dinner, feeling she should be performing all household duties. Takumi apologized, explaining he only wanted to help since it was her first day. He promised she could take over the chores the next day. Sophia mentioned it was typically considered rude for slaves to eat with their master, but Takumi dismissed the formality, inviting them to join him for meals and insisting they not call him master. Meanwhile, Paypack at the trading company handed over some items Takumi had ordered, which were wrapped carefully due to their delicate nature. On his way home, Takumi noticed a church he hadn't seen before and went inside, finding a statue of the goddess Nolan, who had brought him to this world. Curious about why Nolan had badmouthed Sidonia when she first summoned him, Nolan appeared to explain herself. Nolan clarified that there are two religions in this world: the Church of Creation, which has always worshipped her, and the Church of Divine Light, a later creation promoting a god that Nolan claims doesn't exist. She detailed how the Holy Empire of Sidonia used force to spread the influence of the Church of Divine Light, opposing the Church of Creation. Nolan, disinterested in human conflicts, had allowed Sidonia to use their otherworld summoning spell, which accidentally brought Takumi to this world. Nolan admitted she disliked bringing up old mistakes, but explained that she had given Takumi a super blessing which would last indefinitely. However, she warned him that as he expanded his influence, the protective aspects of the blessing would diminish. The initial help that made his life easier, meeting friendly people and visiting safe places, would fade, and he'd start facing more challenges and encountering people with malicious intent. Realizing his journey was about to get tougher, Takumi accepted Nolan's warning with resolve. He knew that from now on, things wouldn't be as easy, but he felt prepared to face whatever came his way. 1 year into the future in the Holy Empire of Sidonia, the king learns that the 3 heroes they summoned are training hard. It was a big effort to summon them, so they need to be very strong. At first, the heroes were unsure, but Elizabeth convinced them to train. Outside, we see the summoned heroes practicing. Akira and Yamato are sparring with some trainers, but the trainers aren't impressed. This makes Yamato remember his past in the old world where he was expected to win a karate tournament but lost to a newcomer. Fueled by this memory, Yamato trains even harder. Akane doesn't like fighting, but Elizabeth explains that she needs to train to gain the strength to save this world. Akira promises to protect Akane no matter what. Elizabeth is happy to see such a committed hero, but Akane senses that Elizabeth might be dangerous. Back to present, Takumi arrived home. He hurriedly stashed a mysteriously wrapped package into his item box, raising Sophia's suspicions. Takumi announced he would be locking himself in his workshop for a few hours. This did little to calm Sophia's growing concern, especially after glimpsing the magical wrapping on the package. Curiosity overwhelmed Sophia, and she stealthily approached Takumi's workshop to discover what he was doing. From outside, she heard him talking excitedly to himself, which sounded alarming to her. Peeking inside, she was horrified to see Takumi accidentally cut himself, though he quickly healed the wound with a magical cure. The strange scene confirmed her fears that something unusual was going on. Sophia burst into the workshop. She demanded to know Takumi's plans for Maria, threatening retaliation if he harmed her. Confused by her accusations, Takumi checked Sophia's condition with his abilities and discovered she was suffering from extreme exhaustion and a cursed hand injury. Opting to address her hand first, Takumi struggled to heal the light wound due to the curse, but managed to alleviate it and even gain a level in his healing skills. As he worked, Maria explained to Takumi that Sophia's long-standing exhaustion worsened with physical activity, likely due to the curse. Encouraged, Takumi used a combination of his dispel and extra heal skills, successfully curing not only her hand, but also her previously severed ear. Awakening refreshed and alarmed, Sophia urged Maria to flee from their supposedly psychotic master. However, Maria reassured her, showing Sophia her now-healed ear and revealing that Takumi had completely cured her. Sophia's fear turned to astonishment as she felt her magic powers returning. Sophia sought Takumi to understand his earlier actions. He explained that his odd behavior in the workshop was part of an effort to level up his healing abilities, including the self-inflicted wounds healed with a potion made from a toxic herb provided by Paypek, were all to increase his skill level sufficiently to break her curse. As for the misunderstanding about Maria being cruel, realizing Takumi's intentions were to help, not harm, Sophia was moved to tears and apologized for her suspicions, swearing her lifelong loyalty to him. Takumi, relieved, accepted her loyalty, grateful for her understanding. They shared a moment of reconciliation, observed by the goddess Nolan, who was keeping an eye on Takumi's progress from afar, intrigued by his growth and the unfolding dynamics. The story continues with Takumi visiting the library the next morning, looking for information on alchemy. He finds only 4 books on the topic and is surprised by how scarce the information is, especially since alchemy seems straightforward to him. However, he soon realizes that these texts are in the ancient language of this world, and he can only understand them because his friend Nolan blessed him with the ability to comprehend every language in this world. Later that day, Takumi, Maria, and Sophia finish making a batch of toilets. Takumi decides to take a break from toilet making. Maria asks him about his plans, and Takumi shares that he wants to go on journeys to find new alchemy ingredients and explore the unique sights and ruins of the world. He intends to take Sophia as his bodyguard and asks Maria to stay and look after the house. Maria isn't happy about being left behind, as it would make her feel lonely. She pleads with Takumi to let her come along. Before making a decision, Takumi checks Maria's abilities by using a magical appraisal. To his surprise, Maria has strong abilities. She's not the strongest, but she can definitely defend herself. Convinced by her capabilities, Takumi agrees to take her along as long as she feels prepared for the journey. Sophia offers to train both Takumi and Maria in magic and combat to ensure they are ready for any threats they might encounter. Takumi likes this plan and asks Sophia to start their training. As they prepare for the expedition, Takumi starts making weapons for the group. Sophia quickly lists off a variety of weapons she would like, being an experienced warrior. Maria, who has only basic training with a short sword, suggests a set of battle knives would be sufficient for her. However, Sophia points out that knives would put Maria at a disadvantage due to their limited reach. She recommends a spear for Maria and offers to teach her the basics. While Sophia trains Maria, Takumi begins crafting the blades for the weapons. This task uses up a lot of his magical energy, so he drinks a mana potion to recover. The final step in making the weapons involves Takumi enchanting the blades with attack and auto-repair properties to reduce the need for maintenance. Once he completes the blades, he moves on to crafting the handles. Since Maria chose battle knives, she will need sheaths for them. Imagining Maria equipped with knives strapped to her thighs nearly overwhelms Takumi. Moving on, Takumi decides to make armor for Maria and Sophia. Instead of asking them for their measurements, he uses life-size dolls he had previously created with his special appraisal skill. He keeps the reason for having these dolls to himself. For the armor, he plans to use maple silk and hide from an armored boar he had encountered. Since he's never made armor for others before, he lets his imagination run wild and experiments with various designs on the dolls. After several days of work and redesigns, Takumi presents the finished armor to Maria and Sophia. Both are impressed with how well it fits, almost as if it was tailored for them, despite Takumi never taking their actual measurements. Before they can question this too deeply, Takumi quickly changes the subject and asks what they think of the weapons he made. Sophia tries out the sword Takumi crafted, finding it perfect. Maria tests her battle knives and is equally pleased. Takumi then gives them magical rings to aid in their magic casting. Although Sophia and Maria feel guilty about how much work Takumi put into these, he reassures them that crafting the items helped him advance his ice and lightning magic skills, making the effort worthwhile. With the new equipment tested, the trio heads to the guild so Maria and Sophia can register as adventurers. It's their first time at the guild, and they are assigned the lowest rank, H. The receptionist reminds Takumi that he needs to complete at least one quest to maintain his adventurer status. Takumi checks the notice board, hoping to find an easy H or G rank quest, but Sophia suggests choosing a higher difficulty quest to increase his rank faster. While at the guild, a couple of higher-ranked adventurers overhear that Takumi is only H rank and decide to intimidate him, hoping to scare him away and harass Sophia and Maria. They taunt Takumi, saying he couldn't handle them and that they wouldn't mind beating him up just for fun. Maria is ready to confront them, but Takumi stops her, insisting on handling it himself. Although he's scared, he can't let his friends be disrespected. One of the bullies, a D-rank adventurer with a pot belly, tries to punch Takumi with full force. And surprisingly, it's the bully who ends up getting hurt. Suddenly, the guild master, Barak, arrives demanding to know what happened, as fighting is not allowed in the guild. At first, he suspects Takumi might be the instigator since he is unharmed while the other has a broken arm. However, Maria steps in and explains that Takumi did nothing wrong. The receptionist also supports their story, clarifying that Takumi merely took a punch to the face and defended himself without retaliating. This clears up the misunderstanding. After the incident at the guild master wants to understand how Takumi defended himself without getting hurt. Although Takumi is hesitant to share his skills, the guild master assures him that the information will remain confidential. Takumi then explains that he used his item box to pull out some charcoal, which he quickly transformed in a diamond to protect his upper body, explaining how he was able to break the other guy's fist. Impressed by Takumi's abilities, the guild master suggests promoting him to D rank immediately, but Takumi feels that he should earn his promotion by completing some challenging quests. With agreement from Sophia and Maria, they decide to take on a quest that involves exterminating goblins and collecting certain herbs in the forest. In the forest, Maple acts as their scout and spots 4 goblins. Sophia quickly takes out the first 2 with swift moves, while the remaining goblins are trapped by Maple's web and then taken down by Maria and Takumi. As they progress, they encounter a large number of goblins, nearly 100 in total, leading Sophia to suspect a nearby goblin encampment, which might include a powerful goblin general. Despite the potential danger, the group feels confident in their abilities to handle the situation, especially with Sophia's spirit magic, Maria's earth magic, and Takumi's elemental magic. However, just as they prepare for more battles, Maple announces she's about to evolve and can no longer participate in the fight. Takumi allows her to rest in a pocket dimension he creates, surprising everyone with his skill. With Maple out of the fight, the trio is left with less support than expected, but they continue on to the goblin camp. Sophia confirms there are about 400 goblins, but no humans, which gives them the freedom to use powerful magic without restraint. Together, they unleash their strongest spells, devastating the camp and eliminating almost all the goblins, leaving only the goblin general and a few knights. Sophia handles the knights, leaving Takumi to confront the goblin general. Instead of engaging in close combat, Takumi opts to use his magic to set the general on fire, quickly ending the fight. After confirming all the goblins are defeated, they collect magic stones and return to the guild, exhausted but successful. Back at the guild, Han, who can hardly believe their efficiency, invites them to the meeting room as the guild master wants to see them again, likely impressed with their performance. After the battle at the goblin camp, the guild master, Barak, is both impressed and upset with Takumi for taking such a risky action with just one party. Before he can scold Takumi, Maple emerges from the pocket dimension, having evolved into an arachne, which surprises and excites everyone. Seeing the unique capabilities of Takumi's party, Barak decides to overlook the reckless behavior. Back at home, Maria tells Takumi she needs some cloth to make underwear for herself and Sophia. Takumi, however, suggests he could design the underwear himself, as he has a better idea for it. Just then, Maple interrupts to inform Takumi that Peck has arrived to see him. Takumi meets with Peck, who delivers a message from Lord Marcus Godwin of Bolton, requesting a meeting with him. Although Takumi is hesitant, he can't refuse and goes to meet Lord Godwin. Fortunately, Godwin turns out to be quite reasonable. He thanks Takumi for the toilets he made, which have significantly improved town sanitation, and acknowledges Takumi's role in taking down the goblin camp, recognizing him as an asset to the nation. Godwin also warns Takumi to be cautious, as the powerful Sidonia might target him in the future. A few days later, Takumi finishes making the underwear for Sophia and Maria, but it turns out to be more challenging than he expected, leaving him exhausted. Sophia and Maria are very appreciative and praise the design. Absent-mindedly, Takumi asks if they'd like to try them on right then so he can check the fit. Realizing what he just implied, he quickly leaves the room in embarrassment. Maria and Sophia are a bit disappointed, as they were willing to try them on if he had stayed. A few days later, Takumi, craving ice cream, decides to build 3 refrigerators from scratch. The girls are amazed when they notice that a cool breeze comes from inside the refrigerators. They open the doors and sit in front of them, enjoying the cool air. Takumi, not knowing how to explain ozone layer depletion to them, starts thinking about how he combined iron and other elements to create stainless steel. He also used a magic device that can cool its surroundings, which helped him make the refrigerators. He tells Maria that the refrigerators can keep food fresh for a long time, and she thanks him because now she can always have fresh ingredients to cook with. Takumi decides to keep the blue refrigerator because Sophia likes it. He plans to take the other 2 refrigerators to Peepak's office to show him. Takumi then tells the girls that he will start working on another project after that, upgrading their weapons. Although Sophia thinks they don't need new weapons right now, Takumi explains that, sooner or later, they will go on an adventure and should keep improving their equipment until then. He heads to the guild to learn more about the best materials like mithril and adamantite. The receptionist tells him that these materials are rare and that no blacksmith in the area can handle them properly. She suggests that he visit the country of dwarves, where blacksmiths are much more skilled. Then, the receptionist remembers that Takumi is an alchemist and tells him that he can synthesize his own mithril, but it's a long and exhausting process. The fastest way to get mithril would be to mine it from a mine to the northwest, but only people affiliated with the blacksmith guild can enter it. The receptionist comes up with a workaround. She tells Takumi that if he accepts a quest to defeat monsters inside the mine, he can also gather mithril and adamantite while hunting the monsters. Takumi likes the idea, but just as he's about to leave, the guild master appears and says he has good news. He tells Takumi that the city is running low on treant wood, which can be obtained by defeating tree monsters called treants. These monsters are found on the way to the mine. Takumi feels a bit nervous because the guild master is too close, but he agrees to take the quest to hunt treants on his way to the mine. The guild master also mentions that a blacksmith has requested a bodyguard for his trip to the mine. He asks Takumi to take on this job as well. Takumi realizes he is getting a lot of work all of a sudden, but the guild master promises that they will promote Takumi and his girls if they successfully complete the quests. Takumi agrees and asks how long it will take to reach the mine. The receptionist tells him it will take 1 week with normal horses, but only about 4 days with monster horses. Unfortunately, they don't have any monster horses at the guild right now. At that moment, Riel, a member of the Lion Fong group whom Takumi had met earlier, arrives. He says his party is currently using the monster horses. Takumi and Riel catch up, and Riel tells the guild master that they hunted a buffalo on the way and came back to deliver it before it spoiled. Riel is planning to return to his friends the next day. Takumi asks him to stay the night at his place, and Riel gladly agrees. Riel accompanies Takumi on his trip to see Peepak. When P-Pack sees the refrigerators, he goes absolutely crazy with excitement. Takumi tells P-Pack that he is going to the mine to get some mithril, and P-Pack decides to lend him a carriage drawn by monster horses for the journey. However, in exchange, P-Pack wants to buy some of the ores Takumi collects from the mine. Takumi agrees, and they prepare for the journey ahead. Afterward, Takumi visits various blacksmiths to see if anyone can help him with mithril, but none of them are able to assist him. By the time he returns home, it's already dark. Suddenly, Riel spots a hostile figure approaching and suggests they run instead of fight. However, the hooded figure kicks him down and reveals herself to be Sophia. She thought that Riel was trying to kidnap her precious master. She raises her weapon to strike him, but Takumi quickly stops her. They apologize to Riel for the misunderstanding, and he tells them that it's okay, but now he has a lot of questions. They soon reach the house, and Riel is surprised to see Maple has evolved. He's also a bit jealous that Takumi lives with 3 beautiful girls while he's still single. Later, Takumi explains to the girls about the quests he took from the guild, and they agree to go on the missions the next day. After Riel leaves, Takumi starts working on new weapons for the group. He tries to make a huge tungsten sword that can absorb enemy mana, but it's incredibly hard to use his alchemy skill on it. He manages to turn it into a block of tungsten, then forges 2 swords from it. However, this process drains all his mana. 3 days later, Takumi and his party set out on their journey with the blacksmith to Gambo. When they reach the forest where the Trants are found, they park the carriage at a safe distance and cast a barrier spell around it. They head off to hunt the tree monsters. Takumi doesn't know what Trants look like, but Sophia, who has experience with them, can spot them. She points out the trees that are actually disguised Trants, and they decide to attack the first one they find. The tree monster tries to fight back, but they easily block its attacks and take it down. Suddenly, a huge horde of Trants surrounds them. Sophia suggests using magic to deal with them quickly. They use wind magic to attack the Trants, while Maria buries them in the ground using earth magic. Takumi also fights using his new weapons, leveling up his combat skills in the process. Just as they think they've defeated all the Trants, their boss appears. Sophia uses magic to cut off its branches, and Maria and Maple support her. However, the boss Trant regenerates its branches quickly and continues attacking them. Sophia tells Takumi to enchant his sword with fire magic and attack the Trant's main body. Takumi immediately does as she says, covering his sword in fire and stabbing the monster, which finally kills it. The Trant drops 2 fruits upon death, and Sophia identifies them as miracle apples, a rare item. The next day, they arrive at the mining city of Horus, and the blacksmith gives them their next quest, to defeat iron moles that eat ores from the mine. They head into the mine, and thanks to Takumi's maxed out luck, he quickly finds both mithril and adamantite ores. Suddenly, the ground starts shaking, and Maple senses that monsters are approaching. Everyone gets ready to fight, but Takumi has an idea to finish things quickly. When an iron mole pops out of the ground, he creates a bright light using magic, blinding and stunning it. Sophia easily kills the mole afterward. Takumi explains that since moles live in darkness, they aren't used to bright lights, which is why the tactic worked. The girls are a little disappointed that the fight ended so quickly, especially Maria, who wanted to show off her skills. Still, they managed to mine a lot of ores without any further interruptions, and soon return to their home city. Takumi goes to Gambo's workshop to learn how to handle mithril and adamantite. For the next few days, he works as though he's preparing for the final round of Forged in Fire. Eventually, he manages to combine various materials with the ores to create mithril alloys with different elemental attributes. He uses these alloys to modify their armors, making them lighter, more durable, and improving their attack power. Takumi proudly tells the girls that their new armor will boost their magic attacks. His own armor will allow him to run at incredible speeds, like the Flash. He decides to demonstrate, but when he tries to run, he can't control his speed and ends up embarrassing himself by crashing into the wall. He quickly tells the girls to forget what they saw and moves on to the next part. He presents the new weapons he's made, a wind spear for Sophia and a fire spear for Maria. Both girls are thrilled with their new weapons. Sophia tells Takumi that her main job is to protect him and that she would sacrifice her life for that. She adds that she wants a sturdy shield to do her job properly. Takumi agrees to make her one, but asks her to value her life more. He works hard and eventually completes the shield, but it takes a toll on him, leaving him exhausted. Sophia, seeing how much pressure Takumi is under, wishes that he could get an assistant to help with the technical work so that he could be more relaxed. Nolan has been watching Takumi's progress and is happy with how far he's come, knowing he'll need all his strength for future battles in a year when other heroes are summoned. Meanwhile, Akira and Yamato finish their training and are sent on a mission by the King of Samander, which seems suspicious. Back in Takumi's time, in the royal capital, the Lord receives a letter from Sidonia about Takumi's quests and his use of purification magic. They don't know who he is yet, but plan to take action, involving the church, sending a messenger to meet with the king of Barkula. That's it for today. See you soon. Hope you like this. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button.